weigh in on the money swirling around the big game and the good, the bad, and the ugly of playing in the NFL and winning the Super Bowl is Bernie Kosar, former legendary Cleveland Browns quarterback who also won Super Bowl 28 with the Dallas Cowboys. He's here in a Fox Business exclusive. Oh, I mean, those ads, right? What were they like back in the 80s when you were at Super Bowl?
Well, it's awesome to be with you today,
Great to have
Liz.
you.
And it brings back a lot of memories seeing the Budweiser Clydesdale Super Bowl ads. And I'm showing my age here, but this was kind of when it started with the Super Bowl and a lot of people, non-football people, kind of tuning in for the excitement of the commercials.
And it became such a huge money situation. I mean, a pile of money, not just for the advertisers that they pay out and for the networks that get the money, but also the players, both the winners and the losers get the money, right? They get money. Tell me about the difference between then and now that you see when it comes to remunerating the players.
So I think one of the cool things now is that the numbers have gotten higher, the amount of dollars you get for doing them, but as an old school guy and respecting and loving the old school history of the game, it's kind of cool to reflect back on some of the things like going to Disney World, some of the things where in advance you'll see that one guy who's the MVP after the game saying, "Hey, I'm going to Disney World," but they'll pick 10 or 12 guys not knowing which one will do that. So in 1993, Troy Aikman was the starting quarterback, but he got a concussion in the NFC Championship game. So I was possibly going to be the quarterback. So it's kind of cool to have that negotiations going on during a Super Bowl week where you're really preoccupied with the importance of the game. But yet then the financial thing comes in because you have to make these quick decisions with these financial opportunities that are in front of you. And sometimes that could be somewhat really distractive to your performance in the game.
Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. It doesn't look like Patrick Mahomes is distracted at all. He's won multiple Super Bowls for the Kansas City Chiefs. The money is so incredible there. But, you know, I have to ask you, is it worth it? About 18 months ago, you were diagnosed with liver disease, and you are on the wait list to get a liver transplant. And then last February, you were diagnosed with Parkinson's. And we know that head injuries, many football players have been diagnosed with Parkinson's. Tell me how you're doing and how you view this fight.
Well, thanks, Liz. You know, it's amazing to hear those type of diagnoses, whether it's 7 years ago being told you only have 5 years left of cognitive brain function, not being able to say cognitive, being early stage dementia
Well,
like
well,
that.
don't roll over that. You couldn't even say the word cognitive back then.
No, not the inability to say cognitive, to not be able to enunciate, articulate, communicate any multiple syllable words was incredibly discouraging. To be basically, I'm 61 now, to be 53, 54 years old, and to not be able to come up and fly on an airplane, come to New York, be on a awesome Claman Countdown show, and be able to enunciate, articulate, communicate any type of concise message was almost impossible for me. So then, fast forward, I retired. We were talking about the Walgreens stock being at its all-time low since 1996. Well, that was my last year in the league, and I really didn't do pills when I played. But to have now 60 surgeries, 80 broken bones, north of 100 concussions, 14 or 15 seizures, my last couple seizures to be in a coma, 72 and 96 hours, retiring in last season, 1996. I've been basically these last 3 decades, most of the century, on north of 80 to 90 pills a day. So to not, despite how much I love the Clydesdales and the Budweiser commercial, to have not drank for 7 years or done pills, it's something that's been incredibly, from a functional medicine side, something imperatively important for me to almost turn back the cognitive decline that was overtaking.
Well, how have you done that? Because you've also started a wellness company because you found that there are things that you've come up with that are working brilliantly that enable you to sit here and speak fluidly.
Well, thank you, Liz. I'm so blessed to be a trustee at University of Miami, to
For
have
whom you played.
to be involved with some great medical people, whether it's University Hospital or Cleveland Clinic with Dr. Michael Roizen, Dr. Tony Post, but Dr. Oz is a partner, Dr. Roizen, And I've been blessed to figure out some functional medicine in terms of the stomach-brain connectivity and some of the things with food as your medicine. And I'm a big fan of Robert Kennedy and some of the things that they've been talking about to implement with food as our medicine and getting rid of some of the additives and preservatives that are really overtaking so
So what are
much
you
of our
doing?
food.
You drink black coffee and you have your own coffee brand now. How is that changing the Parkinson's, the problems that you see, the symptoms?
Well, Dr. Roizen and Dr. Oz's partner, they are massive believers in roasted coffee as one of the big uh, things to detox your liver and brain. And unfortunately, I have both those issues with the liver transplant that's still I'm on the list for, and with the early stage dementia and early stage Parkinson's. So trying to work on both my liver and brain, they were a big believer in roasted coffee. I started studying that, and we started studying that from the raw coffee component, and the raw coffee component of it, coupled with juicing with vegetables and stuff and some IV therapy, has massively flushed and detoxed me to the point where my sugar and my glucose and my A1Cs has come down to the point where I'm not even type 2 diabetic, and type 3 diabetes / dementia, Alzheimer's is really a step past that.
I think you need to write a book or at least a paper on exactly what is working for you, because everybody out there knows at least someone who has a neurodegenerative disease. I do have to say, when I lived in Cleveland and worked for News Channel 5, I was like, oh, Bernie Kosar, I watched your practice, I watched your games, I was in love with everything about you. Number 19, I guess I wasn't the only one. You were sent a picture from Travis Kelsey's mother and Jason Kelsey's mother of them when they were little. Describe what people are seeing on the screen.
Yeah, so I love seeing the Kelseys there from Cleveland Heights, Ohio, and Mr. and Mrs. Kelsey. I joke with them about what awesome parents they are, that they dress their kids up for Halloween in little Bernie Kosar outfits, and Mr. and Mrs. Kelsey looked at me and they go, no, they dress like that every day. So thank you so much for swallowing my cranium. But to see those two go on to have the careers that they had, and I love my number 19, but there's a lot that goes on with the concussions and the issues and the health and wellness that we're talking about, not only when we're playing, but post-career. And again, as much as I love my number 19, but if there'll be 19 people today that will commit suicide in the state of Ohio. And this is partly why I've become so aware, and thanking you to be on forums like this, to be able to tell people that there's options out there from a mental illness, from an anxiety perspective, of things that you could do to get yourself healthy and better from a holistic standpoint. Because so many men, so many of us ex-players, we have a challenging time. I'm not proud to say some of these things that I've gone through, but you almost feel like it's a responsibility to kind of share that type stuff and be able to have friends like the Kelseys that are able to amplify that message and then care about this type message. It's almost feel like it's a responsibility of us older players to help out younger players like that.
You have a voice. I am glad you're using it, and I'm glad you're so here. Bernie, thank you so much.
Thank you, Liz.
Bernie
You matter.
Kosar. Oh, and that's his thing. He says, you matter. That is a lovely compliment. I appreciate it.
Thank you. We want to bring big self-confidence and self-esteem to everybody.
Thank you, Bernie.
Thank you.
Super Bowl 59 between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles kicks. Oh, wait, who are you voting? Who do you want?
Well, since Jason retired, it's easy for me. I can go for Travis and the Chiefs.
Okay, I'm going for the Eagles then, and we'll make a little bet of some
friendly
sort
bet.
that has to revolve around chocolate. All pregame action starts 1 p.m. Eastern, only on Fox.